Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go! My name is not important, but my story might be. I was a bright-eyed college student with dreams of becoming a pilot. Flying had always been my passion, and I was determined to make it my career. But then my dad got sick, really sick. The kind of sick that empties bank accounts and shatters dreams. Mom was working 2 jobs already, and my younger sister was still in high school. So I did what any responsible older sibling would do. I put my dreams on hold and looked for work. That's how I ended up at the Clocking Good Chicken in the airport. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid decent money, and the hours were flexible enough for me to take online classes. Plus, being in the airport meant I could still be close to planes even if I wasn't flying them. Little did I know that this job would test my patience more than any turbulence ever could. It started on a Tuesday. I just clocked in and was heading to go through security when a woman with a designer handbag and a permanent scowl stopped me. "Excuse me, where can I rent a car?" "I'm sorry, I don't actually work for the airport. I just work at the chicken place. You might want to try guest services." "But you're wearing a uniform. You must know something." "Really, I don't. I'm just trying to get to work." "This is ridiculous. I demand you help me right now." She grabbed my arm, her manicured nails digging into my skin. I was shocked. "Who does this?" "Ma'am, please let go of me. I told you I don't know about car rentals. If you go straight down this hallway and turn left, you'll find guest services and they can help you." I had no idea if that was true, but I needed to get away from this woman. She huffed and stormed off in the direction I pointed, and that's when I realized being nice wasn't going to cut it here. I needed to toughen up. Over the next few weeks, I lost count of how many times people asked me for directions to Transportation Security Administration or the exit. It's like they couldn't read the giant signs hanging everywhere. I started giving short, blunt answers and walking away quickly. It wasn't polite, but it saved my sanity. But the incident that really took the cake happened about a month into my job. I was grabbing my morning coffee from the kiosk near our restaurant when a plane must have just landed. A flood of passengers came pouring out of the gate, and among them was an elderly lady who made a beeline straight for me. "There you are. Where is my wheelchair? I specifically requested assistance." I blinked, confused. I was wearing my bright hue Clocking Good Chicken uniform, complete with a cartoon chicken on the front. How could she possibly think I was airport staff? "I'm sorry, ma'am, but I don't work for the airport. I just work at the chicken restaurant." "Don't lie to me, young lady. I know you're supposed to help me. Where is my wheelchair?" "Ma'am, I promise you I am not lying. Look, there is an actual airport assistant coming right now with a wheelchair." I pointed to a man in an official airport uniform pushing an empty wheelchair towards us. The elderly lady squinted at him, then back at me. "Well, why didn't you say so earlier? You young people are so unhelpful these days." She shuffled off towards the actual assistant, leaving me standing there with my jaw on the floor. How did she walk right past the guy with a wheelchair and decided that I, in my ridiculous chicken uniform, was her designated helper? But the cherry on top of this sundae of entitlement came just last week. I was coming back from my break, heading to the employee entrance, which happens to be right next to the elevator to the VIP lounge. As I was punching in a passcode, a man in an expensive suit approached me. "Excuse me, what's on the menu for the lounge today?" "I'm sorry, sir, I don't know. I don't work for the airport or the lounge." "What do you mean you don't know? Don't you work here?" His tone was condescending, and I could feel my patience wearing thin. I'd had enough of entitled passengers treating me like their personal concierge. "Sir, unless you want a chicken sandwich from the Clocking Good Chicken, I can't help you. That's where I work." "Don't get smart with me. I'm a platinum member, and I demand to know what's on the menu." And that's when I decided to give him exactly what he asked for, with a side of sass. "Well, sir, as a platinum member, I am sure you're used to the finest dining. But let me tell you a secret. Our chicken sandwiches are way better than anything they serve up there. And hey, you'll save enough money to buy yourself a sense of humor." The man's face turned an impressive shade of red, and he opened his mouth to say something, but I was already through the door, punching him before he could stop me. As I walked to my station, I couldn't help but smile. It felt good to finally stand up for myself, but little did I know my day of reckoning was coming. The next morning, I arrived at work to find my manager waiting for me with a serious expression. The manager says, "We need to talk. There's been a complaint about your behavior toward the VIP guest." My heart sank. I knew immediately it was about the man from yesterday. I braced myself for the worst. Was I about to lose my job over a snarky comment? The guest claimed you were rude and unhelpful when he asked about the VIP lounge menu. "I'm sorry, but I don't work for the lounge." I tried to explain that to him, but he wouldn't listen. I admit I got a bit frustrated. To my surprise, my manager held up a hand to stop me. "I know. We've had issues with this particular guest before. He's known for harassing staff. What I wanted to say is, good job." I blinked. Sure, I had misheard. A good job? Yes, we've been trying to find a way to deal with this behavior for months. Your response was exactly what we needed. Firm, but not overly rude. In fact, the airport management was so impressed with how you handled it, they've asked if you'd be interested in a position with their customer service team. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My sassy comeback had actually landed me a job offer. They said, and I quote, "Anyone who can handle entitled passengers with that much grace under pressure is exactly who we need. So what do you say? Want to trade in your chicken uniform for an airport badge?" I stood there stunned. This job, which I had seen as just a stepping stone, had actually opened a door I never expected. It wasn't exactly the pilot seat I had dreamed of, but it was a step in the right direction. And who knows, maybe one day I'd work my way up to the control tower. As I accepted the offer, I couldn't help but laugh at the irony. Oh, those times I told people I didn't work for the airport, and now, well, I guess I'd have to come up with a new excuse for not knowing where the rental cars were. So here I am, about to start my new job with airport customer service. I'm nervous but excited. And you can bet I'll be keeping an eye out for that elderly lady who thought I was her wheelchair assistant. Who knows? Maybe this time I actually will be. I'm a veterinary technician and I've always had a soft spot for animals, especially strays. My apartment is like a mini animal shelter with 2 rescue dogs and 3 cats I picked up off the streets. My girlfriend jokes that I'll bring home anything with 4 legs and a tail if given half a chance. That fateful morning I was running late for work, I had spent extra time cleaning up after one of my dogs who gotten sick during the night. As I rushed out the door, I grabbed a quick coffee and jumped in my beat up Honda Civic, hoping I wouldn't get chewed out by my boss for being late again. I was about halfway to the clinic when I saw something small and furry in the middle of the road. At first, I thought it was roadkill, but as I got closer, I realized it was a tiny kitten, frozen in fear. My heart skipped a beat. I couldn't just leave it there to get run over. Without thinking twice, I hit my blinkers and pulled over to the side of the road. The morning traffic was starting to pick up and I knew I had to act fast. I got out of my car and started waving my arms, trying to get the oncoming cars to stop. "Hey, stop! There is a kitten on our road." Most drivers just swerved around me, probably thinking I was some crazy person, but then I heard the roar of a motorcycle engine slowing down. A biker pulled up beside me and got off his bike. "What's going on, man?" "There is a kitten in the middle of the road. I'm trying to stop traffic so I can rescue it." The biker didn't hesitate. He nodded and started helping me flag down cars. Together, we managed to get the traffic to slow down and stop. I breathed a sigh of relief when I saw that the kitten was still there unharmed. Biker tells me, "Go get the little guy. I'll keep the traffic back." I nodded gratefully and started making my way towards the kitten. It was shaking like a leaf, its big eyes wide with fear. I spoke softly as I approached it. "Hey, little one. It's okay. I'm here to help you." I was just about to reach for the kitten when I heard the biker shouting, "Watch out!" I looked up and saw a car barreling towards us. The driver didn't seem to be slowing down at all. Time seemed to slow down as I realized what was about to happen. I tried to grab the kitten and jump out of the way, but I wasn't fast enough. The next thing I knew, I was flying through the air. I hit the ground hard, pain exploding through my body. I heard screeching tires and shouting, but it all sounded far away. I tried to move to see if the kitten and the biker were okay, but my body wouldn't cooperate. I must have blacked out for a bit because the next thing I remember is the sound of sirens and unfamiliar voices around me. Someone was asking me questions, but I couldn't focus enough to answer. My last thought before losing conscience again was about the kitten. When I woke up, I was in a hospital bed. My whole body ached and I could see bandages on my arms. A nurse came in and explained that I had multiple bruises and a couple of broken ribs, but thankfully, no permanent damage. She also told me that the biker who had helped me was in the next room, in a similar condition. What about the kitten? Is it okay? The nurse tells me, I'm sorry, I don't know about any kitten, but there is a police officer outside who wants to talk to you. He might know more. The officers came in and started asking me questions about what had happened. As I recounted the events, he filled me in on what happened after I got hit. The driver who hit you tried to flee the scene, but a group of bikers who saw what happened chased after her. She ended up crashing into a pole and we arrested her at the scene. Was she hurt? Minor injuries, nothing compared to what she did to you and the other guy. Turns out she was drunk, way over the legal limit. I felt angry. Who drives drunk at 8 in the morning? What's going to happen to her? Well, she's looking at some serious charges. DUI, hit and run, assault with a deadly weapon. Given her blood alcohol level and the fact that she tried to flee, she's probably looking at some significant jail time. I nodded, still trying to process everything. Then I remembered my original question. Officer, do you know what happened to the kitten? The one in the road? The officer's face softened a bit. Oh, right. One of the other bikers managed to grab it after you got hit. Last I heard, they were taking it to a vet to get checked out. I felt so relieved. At least something good came out of this mess. Over the next few days, I learned more about what had happened. The woman who hit us, who everyone had started calling Karen, was a local businesswoman with a history of DUIs. This was her third offense and she had been driving on a suspended license. The biker who had helped me, whose name I learned was Nikki, came to visit me in my hospital room. We swapped stories and found out we had a lot in common, including our love for animals. He told me more about what happened after we got hit. You should have seen it, man. Those bikers were like a pack of wolves chasing down that car. Karen didn't stand a chance. I tell him, I still can't believe she tried to run. Yeah, well, karma's a witch. And so is she, apparently. We both chuckled, then winced because laughing hurt our ribs. A few days later, I got another visitor. It was one of the bikers who had chased Karen down. He came bearing news about the kitten. Hey man, heard you were worried about the little furball. Thought you'd like to know he's doing okay. Really? That's great. Yeah, we took him to the vet. He was a bit dehydrated and scared, but otherwise fine. One of our guys ended up adopting him. I felt a lump in my throat. I was glad the kitten was okay, but a small part of me had hoped I might be able to take it home. Hey, don't look so down. We figured you might want to see him, so… He reached into his jacket and pulled out a small gray kitten. My eyes widened in surprise. Is that? Yes, the very same. My buddy who adopted him said you should have him. After all, you're the reason that he's alive. I carefully took the kitten, mindful of my injuries. It mewed softly and snuggled into my chest. I felt tears pricking at my eyes. Thank you. This means a lot. The biker just nodded, looking a bit embarrassed by my emotional response. As for Karen, her case went to trial a few months later. Thanks to the testimony of multiple witnesses and the evidence of her blood alcohol level, she was found guilty on all charges. The judge, clearly fed up with her repeat offenses, gave her the maximum sentence possible. 15 years in prison, permanent revocation of her driver's license, $50,000 in fines, and 10 years of probation after release. Nikki and I both attended the sentencing. As they led Karen away in handcuffs, she turned and glared at us. This is all your fault. If you hadn't been in the road, none of this would have happened. Nikki and I exchanged looks, both of us shaking our heads at her lack of remorse. Some people never learn, do they? Nope. But at least she won't be able to hurt anyone else for a long time. As we left the courthouse, I felt a sense of closure. My injuries had healed, I had made a new friend in Nikki, and I had a new furry companion at home. The little gray kitten, who I had named Lucky, was thriving. That morning could have ended much worse for all of us. But in the end, a little kindness and a little community support turned a potential tragedy into something positive. And every time I look at Lucky, I'm reminded that sometimes taking a risk to help others is worth it, even if things don't go exactly as planned. I'm a 22-year-old college student majoring in environmental science. My parents always pushed me to focus on my studies, but I wanted to prove I could handle both work and school. Plus, I needed the extra cash. Landing this summer job wasn't easy. The competition was fierce, with hundreds of applicants vying for a limited number of positions. But my enthusiasm and willingness to work flexible hours paid off. My role at the park involves managing one of the popular roller coasters. I check tickets, help guests onto the ride, ensure safety restraints are secure, and monitor the ride for any issues. It's a lot of responsibility, but I take pride in keeping people safe while they have fun. The job can be grueling, especially on scorching summer days, and that's why my water bottle is my lifeline. It's not just any bottle, it's a special memento from my trip to Japan last year. The cute design always brings a smile to my face, reminding me of my amazing experiences that I had there. Today started like any other day at the park. The sun was blazing and the queue for the roller coaster was growing longer by the minute. I was already feeling the strain, having dealt with several cranky guests who complained about the wait time. As I was checking the safety restraints on a latest batch of riders, something caught my eye. A man in his late 30s sitting with his wife and daughter was holding my water bottle. My heart skipped a beat. I watched in disbelief as he passed it to his wife, who then handed it to their young daughter. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. They had stolen my water bottle. The audacity of it all made my blood boil. I was tired, frustrated, and now apparently dehydrated. Something inside me snapped. After ensuring all the restraints were secure, I approached the man. My hands were shaking slightly, but I tried to keep my voice steady. "Excuse me, sir? I couldn't help but notice that you've taken my water bottle." The man's face immediately turned pale. He looked at me, then at the bottle in his daughter's hands, and back to me. "Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought it was left behind by someone. Do you want it back?" His stuttering apology only fueled my anger. I knew he was lying. There was no way he could have mistaken it for lost property. I had been drinking from it all day, and it was kept in a specific spot near my station. A wicked idea popped into my head. I decided to teach them a lesson they wouldn't forget. "No, you can keep it, but I think you should know something. I have mouth herpes." The man's eyes widened in shock. I pointed to a small ulcer on my lip, not actually from herpes, but from accidentally biting my cheek earlier that day. The man turned to his wife. He whispered something to her, and she immediately burst into tears. "You're a horrible person. How could you do this to us?" the wife said. I stood there watching the chaos unfold. Part of me felt a twinge of guilt, but another part felt satisfied. They had stolen from me after all, and actions, well, have consequences. As I walked away to start the ride, I could hear them arguing in hushed, frantic tones. The daughter looked confused, clutching the water bottle tightly. The rest of my shift was a blur. I couldn't stop thinking about what I'd done. When I got home that evening, I called my best friend to vent. "You won't believe what happened at work today." I recounted the whole incident to her, half expecting her to scold me. "Oh my god, that's hilarious. They totally deserved it. Stealing is not okay, especially from someone who's just doing their job." Her reaction surprised me. I felt a little better, but still conflicted. Anyways, from that day on, I made sure to always keep my water bottle out of reach of guests.
And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.